Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Lepri. I'm joined today with Matt Savoca and our wonderful leader, Alex Awesemo Baker. I hope the chat is having a great day. And how are you two doing today?
I'm doing great, especially to have Alex here. It's awesome after we all hung out in Chicago. Alex, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Yeah, stoked to do a draft with you guys here, and I'm really excited to also get your takes on some of the players because there's some situations where I'm like I don't know what to think, but I know you guys are super tuned into it, so that'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And guys, we are here. We are on the Stochastic Best Ball channel, and we are doing a Best Ball Mania 3 tournament. We're going to draft one team. You're witnessing right here. The team that takes down $3 million is happening right now. I can't believe it. And all of you are tuned in. And as someone, Captain Spock, already in the chat helping us out, talking about the 3-tier playoff system, season points leader meaning nothing. And Alex, I know over on the Stochastic Best Ball page on Stochastic.com, you were talking about the importance of certain playoff weeks, week 16 having added importance, especially in this tournament this year. So I'm really excited to dig into this one. These have been filling fast, but Nick, why don't you behind the scenes enter the draft and we'll talk about some of the latest player news. I think the biggest news for me is James Robinson not even going on the PUP list. And that's probably going to hit Travis Etienne's stock pretty hard. He's probably going to fall a couple rounds here. What do you guys feel about that?
Well, it doesn't feel good because I've been drafting ETN, but I'm a little bit worried about ETN because there was some chatter that they're like James Robinson could be like the lead back this year. I'm like, well, maybe like after week 8 when he comes back, but I'm like, dang, maybe he's going to be back. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm starting to get very nervous as well. I drafted a lot of ETN. I was a big fan of James Robinson, drafting him early on in the offseason, but then it basically seemed like he was just going to be a no one this year. And now it appears I was wrong, and I feel a little bit silly.
Yeah, bottom line is he's been the starter, and all he's done is produce. We've talked a lot on these previous shows, Nick, about the stink of the undrafted free agent and the relative luster of the first round draft capital. It takes a long time and a lot of production for people to actually trust an undrafted free agent like James Robinson was. But even on bad teams, all he did was produce. Obviously, volume helps us get there in fantasy football, and ETN has that first round draft capital. He's definitely competing against that, but he could just be the best person in the backfield when healthy, no?
Easily.
ETN, he had his own injury last year. That it was like the Liz Frank injury, right? So I'm just trying to sound real smart with these classes, but yeah, it's like that injury is notorious for really impacting long-term performance. So I know like some guys have come back from it more recently, like KD, but and Karis LeVert, but it's definitely a red flag with both of them, to be honest.
I actually have been doing I am so far from being a doctor, but I was doing some research earlier this week about what is helping people get back from Achilles injuries faster. And apparently there is some updated surgical technique where the incision size is smaller, which means they can get back on their feet sooner, which means the infection rate is lower, which is why we're seeing incredible feats like Cam Akers getting back on the field in 5.5 months. I kind of just had a hunch that there was some change in the surgery. Again, I have literally no idea what I'm talking about, but clearly we're seeing these returns not only faster, but people seem to be returning closer to their peak athleticism as well. Even, was it Emmanuel Sanders who tore his Achilles in his 30s and came back and had a productive season in Buffalo last year? I see we're already up at the 10th slot, and I think this is a pretty easy pick. Yeah, for me, this is real easy. It's a wide receiver. How about you guys?
Alex, you can make the pick here. Who do you want?
Well, I don't think we can really go wrong with either of the top two guys, to be honest. I guess I'd lean number towards Najee. I know,
Ooh.
like Matt, you're leaning towards Adams, but like one of the frustrations I've been having in these drafts is like just not being able to get Derek Carr in the draft because he comes off the board pretty quick. So, like I found the Vegas stack a little bit harder to pull off.
That's a good point. Earlier in the summer, it was easier to pinpoint and get at least 2+ Carr, but especially in Best Ball Mania 3, you see Carr, who overall has I think a QB 14 or 13 ADP. People will jump serious positional rankings to get that stack. We see Adams go off to the red badge, Hawkberg right after us, Travis Kelce at 112, followed by CeeDee Lamb. I like CeeDee Lamb so much this year. I know he hasn't done it before, and I'm stressing, in the first 5 rounds, I want to take 1 to 2 players with league-winning upside that, need to do something new that haven't shown us before. CeeDee Lamb is one of those players for me. I think he's ready to take the next step. Nick, I know who you would like at pick at the 2-3 here, Tampa Bay receiver, but do we want to go high T? Do we want to just take one of these running backs here? Kind of like Saquon Barkley.
Who do you want, Alex? Let's go with you.
You guys make the pick. I'm good.
Okay. We'll go
Take
Saquon.
Oh gosh,
We'll go Saquon.
You have no conviction, Lepri. You've been going with Evans in the early second round, and now Alex Awesemo Baker gets on the show, and you don't stick with your convictions.
No, it's because I want to go double running back. Like you said, we got to go with the high T strategy. I don't have really any Saquon Barkley, if I'm being honest with you. So I wanted to get on the train. His ADP is quickly rising. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a guy that gets picked maybe at pick 12 by the time you're doing your season-long leagues in September or late August. People are really steaming up Saquon.
What's been going on? I mean, has he been posting workout pics? I've been scrounging Instagram for all the latest, information.
I saw a pic of him shirtless the other week. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no other place to mine value than the Instagram NFL training camp streets. Follow us at Stochastic Fantasy over there, by the way. It's just one of those things where I do think the end of round 1 in Best Ball Mania tournaments does present a really interesting dilemma where, yes, the strategy du jour seems to be loading up on wide receivers, particularly in these tournaments, but being able to be done essentially with the running back position by round 5 or 6 is a really nice luxury to have. And again, that's the beauty of best ball. If we could just get a quantity over quality approach at the wide receiver position, we need some luck, but it absolutely can work. And I think we need less luck there than by trying to mine value at the running back position.
That's a good point. You can make up for weaker wide receivers at the end of the draft a lot easier than running backs. So I know, Nick, you were talking about how you don't like going 0 RB. So is that kind of your thought process too?
Yeah, definitely going 0 running back is kind of feels like the zag at this point, right? It seems like everyone is all on their wide receiver spam high horse in the first 3-4 rounds. And I think going the opposite way is just significantly safer. And it does have similar upside. I mean, like you said, finding a running back in the late rounds that is going to really have a lot of value, you're going to need injuries. But for wide receivers, there are guys that right now are listed as like the wide receiver 5 on their team that might just end up squeezing their way up to becoming very valuable for fantasy. I mean, today we heard news about Jamison Crowder not potentially being the number 3 guy in the slot role in that offense. So there's a lot of things that move in training camp and through the preseason. So I think it's pretty safe to just go running back early, unless you draft a guy like Nick Chubb, who I think is just the most boring pick ever.
I think Nick Chubb does fit the definition of better in redraft, right? Because his 25 to 30 point upside is really tough to see. Now, it's a little bit higher if Deshaun Watson ever does come in for this team because he's going to be getting into the red zone. He had an under 4% touchdown rate last year. But like you said, he's boring in the sense that he's an efficient runner who doesn't catch passes and doesn't necessarily score touchdowns. It's like basically a trope to say he's one of the best pure rushers in the NFL now, but that's still like a really good thing to have on your fantasy team. Yeah. And when you have to start players every week, and so 10 to 15 points is a necessity from each and every starter, Nick Chubb, while boring Nick, can be very, very valuable. The spike weeks they're few and far between. So that he's less important for me in best ball. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is coming off in the third round now, so I get it. But we're back up on the board here. We have 2 running backs, no wide receivers. What are we doing here?
I think there's a perfect opportunity to take 2 of these wide receivers, or with the added, wrinkle that Kamara may not be suspended, we just stay with the high T draft.
What do you want to do, Alex?
I kind of would lean towards DJ Moore just to balance this out a little bit. And I think, okay, so Carolina, they're going from Darnold to Baker Mayfield. So pretty much a wash. He should still be able to produce pretty good.
Yeah,
I agree.
I actually think it's a huge upgrade. We've been talking on the Fantasy channel and here, Alex, about how imagine if Baker Mayfield hadn't put that on tape last year after he got his injured shoulder, that most people do sit out a significant amount of time. I think we think of him as a much better quarterback overall.
Yeah, and one of the other factors is Cleveland has the worst weather of any NFL stadium because of its proximity to the lake and just high winds. So it makes someone like Baker, who's probably an average QB, look like he's worse than he is.
It's fair. The weather effects, and yes, they are built into the stochastic projections. Before you ask, Jalen Waddle, your boy, you're gonna take a stand on at least one player in these first 4 rounds, Nick, or are you just passing the buck today?
No, we're going with my strong stance on Jalen Waddle. I really do think that Jalen Waddle has the upside to be a top 12 receiver in fantasy. I understand he's not the number 1 receiver on the Miami Dolphins. They bring in Tyreek Hill, but I honestly think that's going to help out Jalen Waddle a ton, and I think Tua takes the next leap this year. I mean, if he doesn't, he's done for in Miami, so I'm just going to assume he's going to.
One thing I like to do here is maybe Miami skinny stack. That seems interesting to me. Like, now let's take one of those running backs, either Mostert or Chase Edmonds. We don't need to have a huge amount of Dolphins, but I do like Jalen Waddle as a secondary option, just sort of thinking in DFS terms. We don't need to go overboard necessarily, but Chase or Raheem would be on my radar now.
Yeah, my other pick there would have been Deontay Johnson, but I don't know how invested you really want to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, considering we already have Najee.
But they got Trubisky. Why would he not want to be invested?
That's true.
See, it's that simple. I mean, honestly, I think we kid, but like Trubisky has some sneaky rushing upside. So does Kenny Pickett, who's becoming one of my favorite last round picks because first round draft capital at the quarterback position just often lets you get into the game. But if, like the Buffalo Bills front office said, the Bears just kind of whiffed their eval on Mitch Trubisky and he actually still has a ton of upside. This is a number 2 overall pick. What if the Steelers actually got like a diamond in the rough here? We joke, it's not the most likely thing, but he is also free.
Yeah.
And he's got a good crop of receivers.
I honestly don't doubt that Trubisky could be better than people expect because Matt Nagy's like offense in Chicago is just like difficult to watch, man. They just do not put their quarterbacks in a position to succeed. Not that Pittsburgh necessarily does, but at least it's not Matt Nagy, I guess is my thought process.
It has to be better in Chicago this year, just right? It has to be. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's basically just like the Giants with Daniel Jones now, like without Joe Judge. Like, could he be significantly better with Brian Daboll? I think so.
That's the one. There's a couple of analysts that we were talking to when we were all together in Chicago last week that are believing in the Giants offense significantly more this year than they were in previous years. It's pretty clear who the top options are on that team. They're all fairly cheap, including Saquon Barkley, who we got as our second round pick. Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay are probably locked in for a significant amount of the passing volume, and Daniel Jones is available at the end of drafts as well. So it's an easy backdoor stack to grab. I would not be against grabbing 1 or 2 of Toney and Golladay if they're available at ADP.
I like that. I think it's almost a bit insane for this Knicks picks fellow here to draft Justin Herbert with no receivers from the Chargers ahead of Pat Mahomes.
Damn, that is pretty bold. Especially because Mike Williams comes off the board pretty early, right? So it's not even like you could draft him later.
Yeah, Mike Williams is a third round pick in a majority of drafts. Should he be picked that high? Probably not. But obviously, when you're linked to Justin Herbert in that offense, the ADP is going to go up.
People are valuing the spike week, sort of in that same Nick Chubb vein. They're valuing that possibility of getting 25 to 30 points instead of the consistency of Keenan Allen's 10 to 15. Points are points. I mean, 10 points can really help you in a week where, everybody busts except for a few top options. Still valuable.
I mean, every player in the NFL has like insane variance. So maybe you haven't seen it recently, but
So for me, I think we should, we might want to stick to the brand. David Montgomery is a player that we have projected significantly higher than consensus. The volume is not a concern. The team is. And as we said, we're really hoping it's going to be better than Matt Nagy's Bears. That would be my smash pick here.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the steal.
Yeah, I like David Montgomery, but he just feels so unsexy when you draft him. It's like, oh, I got this guy on the Bears.
He should be the unsexy pick at the end of the third, like all the other unsexy bell cow running backs.
I mean,
Herbert didn't get work. Sorry,
David Montgomery crushed it last year. I don't get why people think he's not sexy. Or was it 2 years ago? I kind of get the seasons mixed up, but like I know he's been good in fantasy before. Like Justin Fields is probably not. It's a downgrade from Foles and stuff, but or Dalton. So we're taking that into account, but still a great option.
All right,
Now,
so we're back up here.
Here's where I think it gets really interesting, right? We're a little bit down at the wide receiver position. Chris Godwin is a pure upside play that I think we could actually consider here. Jalen Hurts would definitely be in consideration for me. I don't think we need one of these running backs. I'm fine taking a chance on any of these 4 wide receivers down to Gage, even if you feel like we need volume.
I think we should go Godwin. I mean, I already made the pick because the time was running out, but because of the Carolina correlation at the end of the season.
Nice. Yeah, I like Godwin. Like whenever you have a format that weights the playoff weeks higher, that's going to make Godwin look a lot better. So, like if you go to our cash rankings, let's see. In Underdog Cash, Godwin is ranked number 77. But when we do the Ball Mania, which factors in the structure of the tournament, he goes up to 53. So that's like 24 spots.
Yeah. So we got a big value then at 63.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were doing the initial run of the projections and just factoring Godwin in for a really bullish scenario, like 2 games missed, he was like a top 24 player in our initial projections. Because remember, Gronk is gone, Antonio Brown is gone. Those top 2 options are so locked in Tampa Bay. And honestly, Brady's pass volume can support a third, which is why I think Gage at ADP, despite being a wide receiver 3, is a smash right now.
I don't know if, Matt, you might not like this news that came out today then, because it said Rudolph to inherit the bulk of Gronk role.
Sure. We'll see. I mean, I do think that Brady trusting veterans in the red zone is not an implausible statement, right? But it's also because of players like Gronk's innate ability to get open and just understand what Brady needs. Is Rudolph really that kind of player? Not a bad player by any stretch, but are they going to have that kind of connection? I don't know.
I mean, I thought what they meant by this is maybe like Kyle Rudolph would be throwing parties with the chain smokers, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Rudolph hasn't been good since I was in middle school, so like I don't think that's really that impressive.
He had 1 year with the Vikings where he scored a lot of touchdowns, but was he ever like a transcendent player? I mean, no. Brady will get you there, though. That's the thing. Is like in terms of expected fantasy points for all flex players, in terms of supporting multiple top options, Brady proved to be the most capable of doing so in the entire NFL, and he essentially has an all-new receiving core. So one of the ways I'm playing it, to be honest, is just taking shots at those late-round Tampa Bay Bucks, thinking that they already know that one of those lesser-known options is eventually going to be a starter here. Tyler Johnson, Cyril Grayson, Scotty Miller. These are unsexy names now, but Brady has turned, UDFAs and unsexy names into household names before.
If any of those guys played lacrosse, then you already know they're going to be good with Tom Brady.
Will you throw up the draft board, Lepri?
Yeah.
Coming back around here in the 7th round. Man. You think Trey Lance is the week 1 starter in San Francisco, Alex?
Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, it seems like there's always Garoppolo trade whispers, and it'd be surprising if he started the year. One question I want to ask you guys is about Michael Thomas. Like, I know that he entered the season or the training camp on the PUP list. And I'm wondering, like, how much are you guys like spooked by some of these guys that have just announced that they're on the PUP list?
For me, I am. With Thomas, 2 years to try to heal from this injury. Yeah, I think I'm out on him. Lepri, a little different story.
I initially had Thomas as like a top 12 receiver. I'm thinking he's going to come back, but that news just scared me completely away. I mean, with other players like Dobbins or Gus Edwards, I'm not as worried. Like, I'm not in full panic mode, but with Michael Thomas, like Savoca said, it's been like 2 years since he's played. So I'm basically just gone on him, and I'd rather just draft Jarvis Landry like 5 rounds later.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know how much you'd factor this in. I'll mention it after our pick here. All right. So we're good at running back, right?
Yeah, we got to get some value at wide receiver. Kadarius Toney, possibly available for us.
Oh shit! They just snapped up Tom Brady. That would have been a nice stack.
That would have been nice.
All right, so we're gonna go receiver. Which receiver do we like here? I think I like Toney the best, or Ayuk.
I'm fine with that. I think one of those players in Las Vegas is catching 10 touchdowns, and it doesn't have to be Adams. But he's the third option. No, I think Toney's good.
Yeah, Toney's fine. Renfro, I think is like I think that he like we've seen his best, to be honest. Like he's just not got that frame to like be an every down player in the NFL. Always that's my worry, and he's kind of hitting that ceiling that. I don't know. Like maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on like his body type, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, they did give him a huge contract.
Okay. I just noticed he's never a guy that's in like 95% of the snaps. It's always like 70%.
I do think he's a highly trusted player in that offense with a guaranteed role, which is something you can't say about a number 3 option on an offense, but you go out and get a player like Devontae Adams because you have a deficiency, and they had a red zone deficiency. Renfro is having trouble catching touchdowns, and Waller can't pull enough away from the defense. Bring in Devontae Adams. It's a great idea.
Nice.
It might just be enough, in my opinion, to get Renfro open because he's that good, but I think the more likely option is Adams or Waller gain the benefits of that. And I think I was talking to on a previous show with Laffy that we think 40 touchdowns is in the range of outcomes for the Las Vegas Raiders this year. Now I love this running back tier, but we do need a quarterback. How are we feeling about grabbing 2 in this mid-range tier, like Russell Wilson, and then seeing what happens when we come back around? I feel like we may be left in the cold if we don't take one here.
I wouldn't mind waiting because we got Tua and Baker that we're trying to stack up potentially, and Daniel Jones, but
MVS just smash draft.
Well, I mean, it didn't seem like we wanted Russell Wilson. I didn't want Russell Wilson either, so I just took the best player available, in my opinion.
I think when you pick a quarterback here, you gotta be pretty confident that you're gonna get the stack later in the draft. And I haven't done enough of these to know like which teams it's like best to do that, but I know like Stafford, that's going to be really hard to pull off because the cup goes so high, right? So I don't know like where all the Denver players are going. I know.
Yeah. So with that thinking in mind, it would be Aaron Rodgers, right? Because we can get Lazard and Watson pretty
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, if we wait till later, we already have Toney, so we can go with Jones and then draft maybe Wan'Dale Robinson, and then with Tua, we already have Waddle, and then you can go for one of the late round guys on the Dolphins, like Cedric Wilson.
Nice. All right, so with Michael Thomas, let me gauge your guys' opinion on this. I was browsing Reddit, and it was like Michael Thomas is on the PUP list. And one of the comments was like, my friend's friend knows Michael Thomas and heard a rumor that he's just like mentally not in it. He's trying to collect his paychecks without playing. How much would you buy into that?
Reddit 100% hit rate for Reddit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
you might as well just put it on his Wikipedia page at this point.
Yeah, I was watching a stream before this, and Rimpack commented in the chat that he was in a Uber with Paris Campbell's dad or something like that, and now Paris Campbell's gonna have a great season. That's what he said.
Paris
So.
Campbell's dad is this a Uber like pool? I didn't even know they had those anymore.
Yeah, no, I think he said it was a Lyft. Maybe his Lyft driver knew
Okay.
Paris Campbell, and it was like going to be a huge season. So, I mean, I believe that too. I'll believe anything.
I think they've wanted Paris Campbell to be a thing for 3 straight seasons. His body hasn't been able to hold up.
Yeah,
he was great in college at Ohio State. He was the reason we didn't know how good Terry McLaurin was.
Yeah, I mean, he puts up huge numbers in the hospital bills, though. Damn, the hospitals must be loving him.
Oh damn, man.
It's ice cold, man.
Very sorry.
Yeah, I mean Paris Campbell's been pretty good when he's been healthy, so I can see it.
It's kind of opposite way I've done a lot of the drafts this year because the mid and Lepri, we've been talking about this on previous shows. The mid-tier running backs, starting in like the 28, 29 range, have so much upside. Kareem Hunt is included in there, but players like Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Rashad Penny, I think you're going to have multiple league winners out of this spot. You know, Singletary at the 8-12, I think that's a smash pick. You know, I have him 2 rounds higher in my current projections. We needed wide receivers. I like our bunch now with Waddle, Moore, Godwin, Tony, and Valdez-Scantling. I just have regrets when I don't have one of those mid-tier running backs. Just the roster feels incomplete.
One thing, like with Singletary, like everyone's drafting this guy James Cook, and it's like this role as running back in Buffalo is not that valuable to begin with. Like, do you guys think he's getting overpicked?
Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. I think people are just enamored with the draft capital and the offense.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ability to get to the red zone really helps a running back, and second-round draft capital implies that you're probably planning on using him. I think Singletary's the guy.
And people also don't think Singletary's very good, right? Like, if you look at his stats from the end of last season, he was legitimately very good. But I think people forget that. Like, the guys who drafted him in redraft, he was awful for, like, the first half of the season. And I think that kind of is burned into people's minds.
Allen also, and for good reason, has a very high red zone and inside the 5 rush rate because he's probably their best goal line option.
Well, I think, yeah, it's problematic that Buffalo runs the ball so little, and they don't pass to the running backs either. So the offense kicks ass because they pass all the time, but you're not getting points for that.
Right, and that's the bearish case for Singletary, right? If you're between the 20s rusher on an offense that A, passes, B, has a pass-catching specialist, and C, has a rushing quarterback at the goal line, what value touches are you getting? That's why he's falling to the 8th. I get it.
Yeah, 8th round, that's where you should be. Like, I feel like that's good value. If like the guy I was more like questioning is James Cook, where people are drafting him 110, and that's 9th round. So, all right. We could do the Rodgers pick like you're suggesting. We could do Dallas Goedert, get a tight end. What do you
I
guys
just want to
think?
say for the record, we could have gotten Adams, Renfro.
I
and Carr.
know, man. Yeah.
I just want to
my
be here to
car,
say that.
my car read. I'm sorry about that. I blew it, guys.
Okay, let's go Rodgers.
Awesome.
I think Rodgers is just super underrated for fantasy, and I mean, even I say he's underrated, right? He's like my quarterback 14, but he's just so good that
Is Lazard available still? No, right?
no, I don't think so. But there are other Packers receivers you can get later, like Watson. I mean, I'm not sold on Watson, but Robert Tonyan, Sammy Watkins, old man Randall Cobb.
And Watson is injured. I just found out.
Shit.
I didn't. And
Yeah,
that's
he's on the
real
pup
bad
list.
for a rookie.
Watson, like it does. Like he does have that red zone frame. That would be nice. But if he's injured, that's not going to help.
All right, so you don't want Watson here then? We have
I
20
think
seconds.
I think it's risky.
If he drops,
do-
like go for it.
Yeah, let's let him drop.
Okay, so then where do you guys want to go?
I feel like Boyd is a fun pick. Rondale Moore, I'm kind of interested in. Like, he's a guy that he's better in fantasy than he is at football because he gets all those short passes. But we'll see what happens this year because like that kind of pass doesn't help you win football games. I'm like, what is the plan here? You know?
Yeah,
I think they have high hopes for him. Go ahead, Lepri.
I agree. No, I was basically gonna say the exact same thing. Like, I think they really believe in Rondell Moore, and I think, while in fantasy, like in this kind of a format, you kind of want those big games at the end. I think Rondell Moore could really boom those first 6 games without DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, that's not gonna help you take everything down at the end, but he could still have that boom game towards the end of the season. Arizona's schedule, I think, is very good in the playoffs.
Another thing too is, I heard a great stat: 56% of the current game totals over 50, as we sit here in August, are from AFC West teams or NFC West teams. So hitching your ride to these offenses is a great idea, and this Cardinals offense is built in Kyler Murray's image, whatever you want to call it. Like, it is designed for him to succeed in the horizontal speed game, and then you have, Hopkins coming back with the ability to be a possession receiver over the top. This is what Kingsbury and Kyler wanted all the way through. I think all of them can have productive years, and they believe they can be the number 1 offense in football. I'm not sure if it's really, that ceiling is really there for them though.
Yeah, I mean, they paid Kyler like it too. Like, he didn't even have to go to Live Golf.
Oh man, if there was a live version of the NFL trying to break in, that would be absolute chaos. I actually don't wish it.
That would be insane. Yeah, I feel like the NFL does have a lot of anti-competitive practices that like it would be nice if like it was easier for these other leagues like XFL and AAFL and USFL to thrive, but it is what it is.
It is what it certainly is the way. Yeah, so this is a really fruitful round for wide receiver. I think we couldn't have gone wrong. Like, Tyler Boyd is in an elite offense in this Cincinnati Bengals. Garrett Wilson with top 12 NFL draft capital. Kenny Golladay, who essentially is the same exact role as last year, but is 2 to 3 rounds cheaper. And even Mecole Hardman, who I think has an increased role on the Kansas City Chiefs this year with Tyreek Hill gone. This is a really good place where I kind of want to be done with running back for now, because I love the wide receivers in this spot. Even players like Gallup, who's going to come back from injury, Jacoby Myers. I think there's just a really fruitful spot for this position.
All right, I got to comment on Ronald Jones, who just got drafted. Like, 1 week, they're like, he's going to start in Kansas City. The next week, they're like, he's not on the projected roster. It's like, this is the problem with like drafting at this point of the year. It's like, how do you know which news is legit and which news is kind of like fishy? I don't know. Did you guys fall for that one?
No, I would be shocked if they cut Ronald Jones, if I'm being honest with you. I think Ronald Jones could be the starter on the team by like week 6. So I don't know why they would cut him.
Jerick McKinnon, you cannot go into a season with just Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon. From an injury vulnerability standpoint, that would be insane. That you'd be in the situation you were last year, where you were considering signing players off the street. They've just been in a bad spot with running back. They need more bodies. I have no idea why you would get rid of Jones, unless he was like a problem, like a locker room problem or something like that.
Ronald Jones, did he have some sort of like finger injury or something? Like, there was one of the Bucs receivers that he was like playing and he like couldn't catch because he had a like broken finger. It might have been 2 seasons ago, actually. Now I'm looking into it, but
yeah, I think it was.
I guess that doesn't mean much now. But
they also have a young running back named Rashad White, who has very good advanced metrics, really used in the passing game in college, early breakout age, high college dominator score. I think one of the most fun range of outcomes is that the Bucs offense is just looking for playmakers, and they found one in their 3rd round rookie. So day 2 draft capital, not the same as like, early 2nd round draft capital, but still a quality pick for a team that I still think would like to have a bell cow, and they're not fully convinced Leonard Fournette is the guy. Is it time to think tight end? Or should we
gotta get Tua, yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
And maybe we get Gesicki on the way around too. That's right. Tyreek Hill is talking this offseason.
I mean, dude, every quarterback is Hall of Fame these days, apparently.
We just go from Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Could you kind of see in the video too, like where he breathed and he's like, oh, I was gonna say something that would have been rude, and he like realized it and he tried to like off ramp it into something that was easier, and then everyone caught it anyway.
It's too bad that he wasn't willing to throw some shade because he could have been like from Jeopardy host, like Hall of Famer or something.
Gesicki, Cale Bradley, 330. Not happy with you right now.
Okay.
Did Jameson Williams just get announced that he wasn't at training camp or something? Yeah, NFI list. I saw that today. Like that probably doesn't mean anything, right?
I still think that he's a player worth taking shots on.
Okay.
Very cheap access to first round draft capital. No, I'm not saying that the floor is extremely low, right? But it kind of feels like if you're looking for this season's Odell Beckham, he looks like a good bet, especially as like a 6th or 7th option.
I mean, I like Tolbert slightly better, to be honest, but we can go James Williams.
I was just saying that news to Ann Williams is a little concerning.
A little fishy, yeah,
but,
that's true.
I'm trying to figure out what it. He's supposed to miss potentially a few regular season games.
I mean, I went with Tolbert, but I think Jameson Williams is fine. The only reason why I like Tolbert so much is because I really think the Michael Gallup news that just isn't being reported, I think that's bad. I think that he's going to be missing a lot more time than people are kind of talking about.
Yeah, I think that could be a possibility for sure. So
I've been burned by this before. Not to say that this isn't the right way to think, but we always see positive press this time of year about 3rd round, 4th round rookies because coaches need to see them on the field right now. First rounders, they almost don't even need them. Not to say that Williams isn't a risky proposition because he's injured, but there's a reason this guy had draft capital 2 rounds higher than Jalen Tolbert.
Because he's very fast.
Jameson Williams also a super talented player. I don't know. Sticking up for a player that I don't even have that strong a belief in. You have first round draft capital, and if he were healthy, what would you say he would be? Probably a 6th round, 7th round pick, where Drake London goes, Garrett Wilson maybe at the latest in the 10th or something.
It's probably around where Burks goes.
It's funny, man. Everyone's giving so much love to the Detroit Lions this offseason. It must be like that same effect that you're saying. It's like they're the 3rd to 4th round pick. That like everyone's wanting to give them the positive feedback at this time of year.
Well, it
can't be much worse.
They low-key have like a ton of high draft capital all over that offense, right? Hawkinson's a 1st round pick. Jameson Williams a 1st round pick. DJ Chark was a 1st round pick, albeit by Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars. DeAndre Swift's a 2nd round pick. Jared Goff's the 1 overall. Like, and Penei Sewell too on that line. Like, at a certain point, like if it's all 1st rounders, do something with it.
Dude, it's crazy how many like number 1 overall NFL quarterbacks suck. Like, I don't know. Like, all the other positions maybe it's not that big a factor, but
yeah.
Eventually, we do need a tight end.
Yeah, Captain Spock on the screen because you're throwing tons of great analysis into the chat. We really appreciate you hanging out. He says, even with Gallup, Tolbert could be valuable. Gallup had plenty of value when he was a wide receiver 3 in that system. Exactly. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. And by the way, they had Cedric Wilson on that team as well. 2 of those players are gone, and 1 of those players are injured. It's exactly right. There is a lot of room for opportunity, which is why we're higher on Dalton Schultz as well, too, because the pass volume should really be there in what may be his final season in Dallas for Schultz.
Definitely. Now, I guess we don't want to telegraph our picks in case anyone watching is drafting with us here, huh? But there's a guy that's kind of jumping out at me here.
Me too.
All right.
Stay quiet.
Someone I wanted to bring up real quick. I know we're not going to pick him, but Josh Palmer just got a lot of steam as like the clear, and then someone takes him as the clear number 3 receiver in LA. So I have a feeling his ADP might move up. a little bit more because if Allen or Williams goes down, then Palmer is probably sitting in a really good spot.
Yeah, I think that does give me more confidence. Like the only problem, man, Jalen Guyton was the wide receiver third, like in recent years, and he got targeted like 8% of the time or something. It's like if he gets that role, that like I don't know. You guys would know more about like what the outlook is.
They've gotten a lot more innovative with their new coaching staff. The Anthony Lynn first year with Herbert was rough, but I'm all about Robert Tonyan right here. Is that who we were looking at to stack it up?
Just the stack. Like there's that injury concern, but he's dropped because of that.
Yep.
So
now you've been a proponent of a certain positional strategy. Again, I'm gonna keep it quiet because it'd be nice for us here if we can make it work out here. And there are some other options. This is the part of the draft too where like I keep saying like you start to have a little bit more fun with it.
Never mind. I thought I got drafted, but no, we're good.
Not yet.
Okay.
After the 13th, 14th round, your expected fantasy points from this positional ADP standpoint is like 4.5 per game. So hitting the floor at this point, there's absolutely no point. We're shooting for ceiling here. And in that case, the player I would want is Daniel Jones right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I knew exactly based on what you said who we were going to pick.
Exactly. We're not being too sneaky, huh?
Darn it.
Nice. Do you guys usually go 3 tight end as well? Like I know we went super light at tight end, so in this draft we perhaps want to do that. But like I was thinking about it more, and like because you can get one in the flex if somehow 2 tight ends like had exceptional weeks. Like it's grading out is like not bad in the Sims, I guess.
I assume in those situations, like you end up with, let's say you draft like one high round tight end that works out, and then you get that breakout tight end, that George Kittle of the year, the Darren Waller of that year, and you're suddenly just like rolling with those 2 week after week with a clear positional advantage. The only thing I would say is it's probably too much draft capital to go with like top 5 options at the position.
Oh yeah,
am I wrong there? Like,
well, I'm just saying because like we didn't draft a tight end until pretty late. I think our best one is I can't remember honestly.
Tonyan.
No, we didn't we have another tight end? Oh,
No,
it's only Tonyan. Oh, okay, never mind.
So we definitely should go 3 on this team.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it also depends on the value in the draft because here there's a decent amount of tight ends available, whereas in some drafts people just go crazy on the tight end position.
I had to nerf the tight ends a little bit because I was doing some underdog drafts, and then my whole board was tight ends at one point. So like the rankings we have up right now, it might be even a little lower than optimal, just because people are not drafting the tight ends as much as they should be, in my opinion.
That's probably one of the hardest things as we balance out our own statistical projections. Is then we must incorporate the field into our thinking. Or else we're just going to be so far that we're gonna overweight our own statistical projections. But yeah, that's something I've noticed as well. Is essentially you have to like put your thumb on the VBD scale in order to get tight ends to a draft position that makes sense. But
yeah,
it's a total read the room position. Same thing to an extent with the quarterback.
It's a good way to put it. Where we're paying attention to what other people are doing helps.
We're going to go with 2 more tight ends. How many more running backs do we want? Because we only have 3.
I feel like 4 is the minimum I shoot for. Like we did go pretty heavy on those 3, but if there's one that we like, I think we should fire for sure.
I think J-Rob sitting there sounds really interesting to me.
Oh,
and Sammy Watkins as a stacking option if he's available.
I can't believe, I don't want to give away our picks here. So Jamal Williams, what a fantastic option.
I mean, you heard about that Detroit offense, haven't you?
Exactly.
I mean, we did have a Lepri. We had a volume values show, and Jamal Williams' name came up because he averaged 14 opportunities a game over the last 6 weeks of the season, over 80 yards in receiving and rushing. It's not sexy. You're probably not getting 25 points from him. But in
Well,
terms of like getting a 9-10 point outcome from a 14th, 15th round pick,
it's like he could sneak his way into the optimal for your lineup for a few weeks, and then there's that upside if Swift like gets an injury or something. You're
only
probably going to see a
27.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Shoot, someone drafted Robinson.
Yep. There he goes. And Paris Campbell, who, as we heard from the taxi, is going to have a breakout year. Should we pick Rinpack's tight end du jour this year? Austin Hooper.
Sure.
He was making a huge case for Austin Hooper as a secondary tight end option. I think Sammy Watkins is actually the player I would pick here because I just don't care about which tight end. It's just literally the quantity approach. I would stack up with Sammy Watkins right.
Yeah, that's a good idea there. Just
week
finish
one.
the stack.
Week 1, Sammy Watkins is an absolute animal. Probably the best player of all time on week 1.
Very basic
every
science. All right, so that's it for the 15th round, and I think we have 2 tight ends, so we must draft a running back, and then I think we just close out with literally whatever tight ends are available on the board.
Yeah,
like,
the nice thing with tight end
kind of joke. Yeah,
is there's 32 starters, right? And like there's only 36 possible draft. Like at maximum, like 36 tight ends are probably going to get drafted. So there's usually someone that you can have a little bit of confidence in.
No joke.
So where do you guys want to go with
this running back? It's Mostert for me by a mile, by the way.
Yeah, I'd go get down with that.
I have so much Mostert. He's either going to absolutely win me so much money or be in the hospital in week 2. And there's no in between. And then as we say that, he gets taken. So who do you want?
Shoot.
I like McKissick the most.
I kind of am into Mark Ingram just because, well, now, like, I know you guys are saying Kamara might not get suspended, so that's shaking my
confidence. If he gets suspended, Ingram's going to get work.
Yeah. And
Chris Evans getting positive hype too would be another option. McKissick, Ingram.
Let's just go Ingram because I think people are now just fading away from Ingram because of that news about Alvin Kamara, but there's still a chance he gets suspended, in my opinion. I mean, I'd be shocked if he didn't a couple weeks ago.
Dude, it's so frustrating. Like these suspensions just kind of lingering in the air because, like, obviously Deshaun Watson, like that's someone we really want, like from a fantasy football standpoint, if he's playing, you know. So
yeah,
that's like this challenge of drafting at this time of year is like, are you gonna take a shot on guys like that?
Yeah, I think I would have liked Chris Evans there if this were my team, if only. But no, I'm absolutely fine with Ingram. And this is kind of one of those fun spots, the draft, where literally, guys, because we know the position we need for the rest of the draft is tight end, you could literally just star out the rest of the wide receivers into your queue and walk away or start your next $3 million draft at this point. Not to say that players don't matter, but we have to think of the overarching structure. We know we have this position of need. We know at this point the expected fantasy points value of a tight end here is like, sorry guys, like 2.5, 3.5 points per game, or 1 to 2 usable weeks if you look at it in that way. We're just throwing darts at this point. So we look for snap share. Mo Alley Cox of the Indianapolis Colts often is available. Ricky Seals-Jones of the New York Giants. Kyle Rudolph is there right now. Greg Dulcich, who has 3rd-round draft capital, is a rookie, but playing in that Russell Wilson offense. I could see even O.J. Howard as a secondary tight end option on the Buffalo Bills. You know, if you play that game where they pass a lot inside the red zone, why not him performing over Dawson Knox? Just got to tell ourselves a little bit of a story here. Cue it up. We've got a lot of options.
I guess Kyle Rudolph is someone that I'd feel a little confident in after the news today that he's getting the Gronk snaps. Logan Thomas, he's coming off like some sort of series-ending injury, right? So, like he's dropping because of that. But what's your optimism about his availability this year?
Thomas?
Yeah.
I don't think they get rid of Ricky Seals-Jones if they don't feel confident about Thomas, who they paid a lot before the season. There was a solid performance, especially in PFF's blocking grade, by the backup John Bates, who people are saying is going to get some run. but I think they want Thomas to be an every down player. He's definitely the better pass catcher.
Yeah, so as long as he stays healthy, then that seems like the safer pick. Taysom Hill is intriguing though. Like, what if Jameis struggles a little bit, and then you got a tight end who's the quarterback? Like, we know that's the killer spot to be in.
I've been playing some Madden, just throwing him in at tight end. He's been really killer for me. So
Nice.
I don't hate it. that's
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
not how
Spock
we're doing our best ball picks.
Just brought up something great in the chat. I mean, let Spock know if you can't find the like buttons, because you guys got to hit the like button. We have like 8 likes or something like that. Very mean, honestly. I feel a little disrespected.
Yeah. How about this, guys? Give us a like, and we'll tell you about a certain code you can use so that you can sign up for Underdog Fantasy, get some free money, and then maybe we'll throw in a stochastic draft kit, which got our best ball rankings, our projections. It also has our redraft rankings and projections. As you were talking about, Alex, we've got cash game rankings and tournament rankings where we factor in the playoffs differently for every single format. All the different platforms. We're partial to the Underdog platform since we're on it. See here, I think it's real easy. I'm going with an every snap player like Logan Thomas. Kyle Rudolph, I'm fine with just because the red zone upside is there. Those would be my 2 favorites.
Yeah, I like
Probably get
Logan.
both.
Oh yeah, we still need 2 tight ends. I forgot about that.
Mhm.
For some reason, I thought we got one. All right. Yeah,
What is
Logan
the
Thomas.
Bucks bye week? 11? Yeah, 11.
I think. I mean, if you, I'm not sure.
We got Godwin right with 11. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was only bringing that up because both of our tight ends are by 14. I'm not too sure how
okay.
much that matters,
Okay,
though, in
So
your
no
guys' mind.
Taysom.
I think it
I
matters.
don't. Yeah, we don't want a 0 at the position.
Tyler Conklin, is he starting in the Jets? He was someone that got onto my radar.
I think so. I think people are
Yeah, Uzomah.
overdrafting Uzoma. I think
Okay.
they're overdrafting him.
But yeah, I think Rudolph's probably the safe pick here.
So are people just done with Brait now, then? Because Brait fell all the
Yeah.
way to 18.
I think Brait's undraftable, like right now,
Gotcha.
just because like it's either going to be Rudolph or Brait. Like, so they're telling us it's Rudolph, and we would have to have some reason to think it's Brait still.
Yeah. I guess the
agree.
people who drafted Brait in like the 10th round a couple weeks ago are going to feel pretty dumb.
That's true. Well, we got some
Yeah.
time here as the draft closes out. Nick, as you always do, let's break down our roster, kind of the thinking behind it, talk about some of the stacks we did, some of the strategy we incorporated as this closes out.
Yeah, so I'll just read our team off, and then we can all kind of talk about it. So we went with the 3 quarterback, 4 running back, 8 wide receiver, and 3 tight end build. Our quarterbacks are Mr. Discount Double Check, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, and Daniel Jones. Our running backs are Najee Harris, Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery, and Mark Ingram. Our wide receivers are DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Chris Godwin, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Ronald Moore, Jalen Tolbert, and Sammy Watkins. And our tight ends are Robert Tonyan, Logan Thomas, and Kyle Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. I love those names.
There's some really interesting elements here on a primary level. We've got some really solid quarterback receiver stacks: Aaron Rodgers, Sammy Watkins, Robert Tonyan, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Waddle. We also have some skinny stacks, some game correlations. That's our secondary way of stacking, like Godwin and Rudolph and DJ Moore. Less so in the sense that we're doing divisional stacking here. You know, we've been talking a lot about the AFC West and the NFC West here. Didn't focus there. We did get some exposure to it with players like Rondell Moore. Honestly, the thing I also like is we have a lot of youth and a lot of speed at the wide receiver position. Finding a breakout in this young wide receiver core seems much more plausible. The floor is going to be low here, but that's no problem in the Best Ball Mania 3 tournament. We're aiming for the upside. We're trying to get first place. We're trying to get $3 million here. So how did you think we did, Alex? And would you have changed anything as we go through this one?
I think we just won $3 million, to be honest. Like, there's no point in you guys drafting anymore. I was just all pack it in. We got the winning lineup here. So, but yeah, I think we did a good job. Like, one of the things I liked is with tight end, like, we kind of identified that if we wait, like, we can use volume to overcome that. Same with wide receivers. So we really like got great running backs, and then we're making up for wide receiver and tight end by just having a lot of those players. So I think we got a good foundation here.
quantity
Definitely.
over quality, or vice versa. No. What were we gonna say, Nick?
Sure. No, I was just gonna say that I just like the fact that we didn't go super heavy on the Week 17 stacks because maybe that won't even end up working. But at the end of the day, we also have Carolina and Tampa Bay, which I think is gonna be a pretty high scoring game as long as Baker is as good as we kind of think he's gonna be.
We'll see. I'm really interested to see how heavy the field goes in Week 17 stacking because I know a lot of the content that is out there in best ball world has very heavy game stacking in Week 16 and 17, but I wonder how much the field is really doing it. We will find out. This is a whole lot of fun, guys. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. You're welcome anytime. Lepri, despite you not going with your early round convictions, I thought you helped mold a great team here. So thanks so much for hanging out today.
Here, wait,
Guys,
Savoca, before we get out of here, I just
Yeah,
gotta say
absolutely.
something. I know you're definitely sad right now because did you just get this notification? Justin Ross is out for the season. That is
I
a
know.
very sad move. I'm sad.
I had a feeling. I saw that he was in a boot and he had just had surgery. He was going in the mid 14th round in the early Best Ball Mania 3 tournaments. We were getting a little ahead of ourselves. Darn it. The injuries begin with training camp, huh, Nick?
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, it only just started. I mean, some teams haven't even started yet. I mean, the Dolphins don't start till tomorrow.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, this is a whole lot of fun. Make sure to follow us all on Twitter. He is Alex Baker at Awesemo DFS. I'm Matt Savoca at Draftaholic. He is Nick Lepri at Notorious FNTSY. We're back every single Monday with a Mania Monday draft. We've also got tons of best ball content, strategy content, shorts with our draft profiles as well. So make sure to keep it right here. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And guys, promo code Stochastic at Underdog gets you free money and a Stochastic draft kit as well. Simple as that. Guys, we'll be back soon. We will see you guys later. For Nick and Alex, have a good one.